quilty friends, welcome back to my channel, Pages and Stitches. That's spelled pages, the number 3 stitches. My name is Kelly and I am super happy to be coming to you today with my February Quilters Corner update. So today is February 28th, last day of February, and this is my Quilters Corner update number 16, which is really exciting. And I have a lot to share with you today. I'm really proud of the work I was able to get done this month. If you are coming to me for my floss tube video, you'll know it's because I've been home recovering from surgery. I'm totally fine. My health is great. Thank you for your concern. But I just had a lot of time off because my job is in healthcare is a little bit physically demanding, and so they want to make sure that you're fully recovered before you come back to work. So I've been doing a lot of sleeping and crafting, quilting and cross stitching. If you are unaware, I also film floss tube videos for my other love, cross stitching. So you're welcome to go check that out. That should be posted right before this video. And for this video, we're gonna go over quilting. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I know not a lot of quilting content exists out there that's, not a tutorial. So if you're a quilter and you want to see what's going on in my quilty life, I welcome you. And if you're new, definitely say hi down in the comments and let me know what you think, because I would love to connect with more quilty friends through this platform. If you're a returning subscriber and you're coming back to check out this update, thank you so much for coming back. You are a true blue friend, because most people on my channel are here for the cross stitching. A very small percentage are here for the quilting. So if you're one of them, thank you so much for being here, because quilting is definitely, it's definitely got a big part of my heart. So I'm glad you're here. As per usual, I want to start out with my reading update. If you are here for my floss tube video, you can skip this part, just fast forward a little bit because it's the same books. Otherwise, these are the books that I was able to read for the month of February. Okay, so first I read Hooked by Emily McIntyre. And then I read Happenstance by Tessa Bailey. And then I read A Not So Meet Cute by Meghan Quinn. This was perfect for Valentine's Day. And lastly is Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. Quick interlude. This is Hef coming to say hi. He's been extra lovey today. See what I mean? Kisses. He just got his vaccines updated at the vet, and he does really poorly at the vet. Like, he's a fighter. So yes, you are, don't even lie. So that was a thing, and now that he's back home, he's been extra lovey because he's like, thank you for getting me out of that hellhole. My vet is great. She's excellent with fractious cats, and that is definitely what Hef is. Okay, so I don't normally do shout outs in my quilting videos, but I'm gonna do some shout outs today. So I wanna shout out 2 people in particular. First, I wanna give a quick shout out to Laura of Lala D Stitches. I actually just gave her a shout out in my floss tube as well. But the reason why I'm shouting her out here is because she just recently started doing her own quilting videos. She, like me, has noticed that there is a deficit in the YouTube quilting market for this style of video, because for the most part what we see are like tutorials or like shops or designers kind of doing a sales pitch kind of thing. There's less content out there for quilting that's more of like conversational and just doing progress updates, a lot similar to like what we do with our floss tube videos. And I know that there's a lot of crossover between the 2 hobbies. So I'm giving Laura a shout out because I'm glad to finally find another quilter out there who has the same craving for content like this as I do, and who is also creating her own quilting videos. So she I believe just has one out right now. She just did her first one this month in February. So go check out her channel. Definitely check her out for cross stitching, but for quilting now as well. She just did like a full she called it a trunk show, showing off her finished projects that she still had in her home. And then the next person I want to give a shout out to is a dear friend of mine. I love and adore her. Her name is Amy from Fiber Arts Amy. She is a quilter as well. And so we have bonded super fast over just the fact that we like each other and we like our projects, and then also we like quilting. And she's another one who just recently posted a video pointing out that, you know, if you're not in the mood for watching a quilting tutorial, there's not much on the YouTube worlds targeted at quilting, about, you know, your projects you're working on, the fabrics and the designers that you love and are interested in, and the haul that you've purchased, and what's new, and what's you know, like personal anecdotes and stories and reviews on the products you're using and that kind of thing. So Amy, you listen up. She just posted that she is considering also making quilting specific videos, and she is curious if that's something that her viewers might want to see. And I'm telling you, Amy, do it. Don't even think about it. If you've already thought about it, that's all the consideration you need. Just do it, because even if it's just me and you watching each other's quilting videos, I want to see what you're working on. I want to interact with you about it. You're the one that got me into one of my current whips. So anyone who's here watching quilting videos, go check out her channel and tell her to do her own quilting videos, because she's working on some fun stuff too. She in particular really likes English paper piecing. And she's got a bunch of really cute English paper piecing projects she's working on. And I want to see other quilting things that you've done, Amy. I want to see other finishes you've made, other purchases you've made. So I'm telling you, my vote is yes, do those videos. You will at least have one viewer every time you post one. Okay, so let's get going on my whip updates. I have some good progress on my projects to share with you, and I'm excited to get that going. So you'll notice that I have a change on my design wall. Last time I did an update, Meadowland was still up here, and it needed to have all the blocks sewn together so that the quilt top could be completed. So I did that. I can't remember if I took a picture of the quilt top all completed or not. If I have one, I'll stick it in here. But I used the pattern called Meadowland, which is by Cluck Cluck Sew, and I used the fabric line Cider by Basic Gray with just like a sand colored blender as the background fabric. And so the quilt top is done, and the backing fabric is all stitched together. I mean, it was just cut it in half, stitched together. So that is sitting in my closet ready to go to the long armor whenever that appointment comes up. And then speaking of my long armor, I had an appointment this coming week to have a quilt finished. So I brought her color palette. So that is at the long armor to get quilted together. And I'm super excited about the design we chose. I'm ready to show you guys. So that should be a fully finished object when you come by my channel in March to see my March update. So I'm really excited about that because I love that quilt so much. And okay, so if you saw my whip parade and my plans video, you'll be familiar with this project. So I have 6 baby quilts. These are 36 by 36 quilts in the works. I had 2 quilt tops that I had sitting unfinished and unloved for far too long, and plans for these 4 here. So I'm considering all of that one whip, and it'll be done when I have all 6 of those quilts fully finished. Currently, the progress that I've made over this last month was to finish these 3 quilt tops. I already had the brown one done. So I was able to finish these 3 quilt tops in addition, and they're all up here ready to get quilted. I'm super happy with how they look. They're so cute. So I've added those 3. That one was already done. And then the other 2 are fully finished. So I'm going to show you those real quick. Okay, so this one is I've started referring to it as my strawberries and cream, because it's like a pink and white and turquoise. And that's all fully finished. Here is the back, which is like a squiggly, almost chevron, pink, red, and white. Quilted and everything. And I just did these quilting, the quilting on these 2 myself, because it's just straight line quilting. And let me bring it in close. So literally it's just, can't see it very well, but I went zigzag up and down the rows, and then came over here and I went this way and zigzag. So that's how I went through the whole thing. And this one is done and ready to go. And this quilt pattern, it's the same quilt pattern on all 6 of these quilt tops. It's a free pattern from the Fat Quarter Shop called the Jelly Roll Jam. I don't know if it's called Jelly Roll Jam 1 or if it's just the original Jelly Roll Jam. Either way, they have their own YouTube channel with the tutorial video, which I will be linking down below for you. And there is a PDF printout as well. But it's just a very simple pattern, very beginner friendly if you wanted to try this pattern out. So here's my first one that is all done and ready to go. If you don't know, the reason why I'm making these baby quilts is not necessarily for a specific baby. I was gifted all of these fabrics, except for that one. I bought that one. All of these jelly roll strips by a work friend who had good intentions but didn't end up using them. And I really didn't have any plans. And so they were just kind of languishing in my stash. And so I decided what I'm gonna do is turn them all into baby quilts and then donate them to the labor and delivery department of the hospital system that I work for. So once all of these 4 have been fully quilted, in addition to these 2, I'm gonna take them over to get donated to babies. And then here is the other one. All done. So you'll notice this one and this one are very similar, and it's because they came from the same jelly roll. It's just I separated this one into more blues and yellows and reds, and this one is more oranges, pinks, and aquas. So it's like, I mean, if you were going to be gender stereotypical, this would be more boy fabric and this would be more girl fabric. But anyone can use it. So there it is. Here's the back. You can kind of see the quilting better on this back. So, yep. Just straight line quilting up and down. Very simple, very easy. I just have to do it, you know? I don't know why it took me so long, but I finally got it done. Well, I finally got these 2 done. I still have to do these 4. But that is the plan for the next update, is to at least have 2 more of these down off the wall and fully finished. I still have, you know, I showed all the backing fabrics that I had purchased in my last month of haul. So I have all the supplies, just gotta do it. Now, before we move on to my next whip, I want to talk a little bit more about the quilting process for these. So normally when you finish a quilt, right, you finish the top, you piece together the bottom if you have to, and then you sandwich the quilt batting in the middle and quilt it and trim it, bind it, done. But when you trim it, oftentimes you have leftover pieces of batting, and I want to show you how to utilize those pieces so that you're not wasting product or money or adding to landfills unnecessarily. So frequently when you trim your batting after you've quilted your quilt, you're stuck with pieces like this, right? You cut it off the side, they're long and skinny. There is no quilt that I know of shaped like this. So it would be easy to just discard this as waste, right? Because what are you gonna use it for? But, and this is a trick my mom showed me, you should save pieces like this because you can attach them together and piece your batting, right? So these are all, you can see the seams, these are all individual pieces of quilt batting that I had cut off of other projects, right? And the way you piece it together is you trim the edges straight. Sometimes they get a little stretched out whenever you're removing them from the sides of the quilts, and seam ripping if there's any quilting stitches on them. So you trim them so they're nice and straight and flat. And you put your sewing machine on a zigzag stitch and kind of decrease the stitch length, and then line up the two edges of the batting and put it straight through, and your zigzag stitch will go on either side. And that looks like this, right? And then eventually you get a piece of batting big enough to go inside a quilt. And so the two finished ones that I just showed you, the batting in both of those quilts is pieced together, and you would never know the difference. It doesn't sit differently. It doesn't add bulk. Because the batting is side by side when it goes through the machine and not layered on top of each other or like stitched with a 1/4 inch seam allowance and ironed open, there's no added bulk. So like we can see the seams, but when you lay it out, spread it and baste it and get it nice and flat, you would never know that the batting is pieced together unless somebody is literally sitting there and squishing your quilt trying to find this seam, which is hard enough because there's seams in the quilt top and then you've got your quilting stitches. You would never know. And so you would just keep adding. Like this is a piece ready for the next baby quilt to be quilted, but if you needed a bigger piece, just keep adding. I've had twin size quilts that I've pieced the batting together for, and that way you have all these leftover pieces and they don't go to waste. Like, yes, you can use them for smaller projects, like if you're gonna make placemats or project bags, and by all means do that. But if you are just making quilts and you don't wanna be wasteful, save those pieces because you can just zigzag stitch them together and make your own quilt batting. I have an entire tub full of these strips of quilt batting waiting to be utilized in that method because I just refuse to waste it. If you invested the money in the batting, why throw it away, right? Use it. So I wanted to share that tip with you. I didn't learn this trick until I was like 27. So it occurred to me that there might be people out there that also don't know this trick. So if you want to save your quilt batting, just cut yourself a straight edge, put them together, zigzag stitch. Just don't forget to put it back on a straight stitch when you're ready to do normal sewing again. All right, so next I want to give you an update on my Hexi quilt, my Hexi Gradient. So my Hexi Gradient is the English paper piece quilt that Amy influenced me to start. So the inspiration for this quilt came from a drawing I did just with matte pencils on some graph paper when I was still in college and I was just bored one day. I cranked this out, and thank goodness I never got rid of it, because I decided later in life that I wanted to turn this into a quilt. So what I am doing is I've taken my entire stash of scraps that I wasn't doing anything with. I'm turning them into Hexis and using them to recreate this. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This is what it looked like the last time you saw it. And in the meantime, I added one more block to the column. Isn't that so fun? I'm really enjoying this, because not only is just doing the gradient and the puzzle piecing of it together really like enjoyable, it's just fun to see like little kind of I Spy elements in here, right? It's really like, we got a little measuring tape. I love it. I love it so much. So this is now going on top of the other 3, which means that I have gotten, where am I at? 1, 2, 3. So I've gotten to this line right here. Let me see if I can, here we go. Right there. That's what I've done with my Hexis. So the next block up is we're gonna do just a little bit of yellow, mostly grays, and we're gonna start seeing blues and browns. And then up this way we have mostly dark blues and grays, a little like hint of black, and maybe like a little teeny corner of brown. And then I'll have this column fully done. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna insert side-by-side pictures so you can see how the quilt is progressing compared to the drawing. I think it looks pretty dang good. Like I said before, I'm not really trying to do like an exact match, but I'm using it more as a guideline for how my Hexis will progress when I'm stitching them together. And I love it so much. So ideally, I will have the next 2 done for the next update, but I don't know, because I thought maybe I could get it all done this last time, but this chunk of yellow and gray scraps is taking me forever to get hexied. So here's my 1 box that I have so far full of hexagons. So we've got all my purples, reds, pinks, a little couple of peaches, dark grays, light grays, and then like whites, right? And so I filled this box up completely, and now I had to bust out another box for storing my hexagons, because I finished the other one, or I filled up the other one. So here's where, let me take these out. I've got all of these other colors of scraps. They're all cut down, trimmed down to the hexagon shape, waiting to be turned into the Hexis. And then over here on this side, I've got most of my yellows. There's a little bit more that I have to do. And then I've started on some oranges as well. So all the colors I have left, these are all my browns, light to dark, blues, light to dark, blacks, oranges, and greens. And I'm just waiting until whatever color I need shows up in the drawing, and then I hexie all of that color and then pull from it to put that next block together. So I have a few more yellows to do, and then I'm gonna get the blues and the browns going, because those are the ones that show up in the next block. Isn't this, I find these columns of hexagons just like super satisfying. You know what I mean? Like they're in their own color gradient and they're organized in rows. And does anybody else feel that way? Is that weird? So the next project that I have to show you is actually a new start, which I'm really excited about. I had mentioned that I was planning on starting this soon, so I couldn't resist any longer. I went ahead and started it. I'm gonna insert a picture of what the pattern's gonna look like, because my photo is black and white, called Cocktail Hour. It's a free pattern that you can get on tildasworld.com. And she has her pattern in mustards and blues, and then there's another one, it's the same pattern in pinks and greens, and she makes them with her own fabric. I'm not using her fabric. I am using a fabric line by my favorite designer currently, which is Anna Maria Horner, and it's this line here. This line is called Fluent. It's one of her most recent releases. And aside from that, the other couple of changes that I'm making is her pattern calls for one skin tone for all of the girls in the picture, and I have like 7 or 8 different skin tones I've picked out, so all of my girls are gonna have like different skin colors, right? Because why do they need to be one? They don't. And I've made a couple of other changes, but I'm gonna show you the blocks first before I tell you what they are. So here is my first one. Look at her, isn't she so cute? I just love her. So this is the top right corner. I mean, well, if you're looking at it, it's the top left corner. So it would be your left of the quilt. And so Anna Maria Horner has these beautiful, just loud, vibrant florals and textures in her fabric lines. So I thought it would be perfect for this quilt. And I chose her hair color based on what colors show up in her dress. So each girl is gonna have a different hair color, and I'm gonna choose from what's in the fabric on her dress. So like this is the corner, there won't be a girl up here, but if like this was to be the dress of the next girl up, I'd probably give her like purple or yellow or bright red, you know, something like that. And I adore this, but wait, I made another one. So here's the next one I made. So cute. So she has this dress here, so I pulled this kind of aqua color out and put that as her hair. And these sit stacked on each other like this. So her dress is behind her head, right? Does that make sense? So the other changes that I made to this pattern, if you look at the picture, I'll insert it again. All of the girls in the pattern have these little round cheeks. But I've kind of decided that I don't want to add the cheeks to these girls. I like them without the circles. I don't think they look bad, but I don't know. I don't think like this pattern is going to be busy enough as it is. I don't think they're needed, you know? So I changed the skin color. I changed the hair colors based on what is in their dress. I'm gonna do no cheek circles. And the other thing is I've decided that I'm gonna do this pattern quilt as you go method. I've mentioned it before, and I had another dear friend of mine, Denise, of the Black Ribbon Stitch Studio. She asked if you can do any quilt in quilt as you go method, and in theory, yes, but it's easiest if your quilt is separated into blocks, like uniform shapes, like so, at least for the method that I'm going to use for this quilt. Now there's a couple of different quilt as you go methods, and I'll try to link as many of them as I can down below. There's a bajillion YouTube tutorials on quilt as you go methods, and I've used several before. So on this quilt that I made, as well as this one, one is a wall hanging, one's a baby quilt. The quilt as you go method is such that the top, batting, and backing are all quilted together, and then the backing has like a 1-inch overhang all the way around that you fold in together, and then those parts are the parts that get stitched to the blocks next to it to create a bigger and bigger quilt. I know that's kind of that's kind of confusing, so I'll link that tutorial down below. But the method that I've used for the Quilt As You Go method that I've used the most, than the one that I plan to use on this quilt, I utilized on the Batik Snowballs. I used it on the Polaroid baby quilt, and I used it on the Jacob's Ladder quilt. So the method that I'm gonna use for this one is where the top block is done, and then you put the batting behind it, and then you do your quilting on just the top and the batting. And then once you have all your blocks done, you stitch the blocks together like normal, including the batting. And then once the quilt top and the batting is all stitched together, then you attach your backing by stitching in the ditch between the blocks. It's literally just a stitch to attach, to finish the sandwich, basically. And you'll see more of what I mean by that as I work on this, because I'll definitely show you how I progress with that Quilt As You Go method. But of course, I will link the video down below where I learned that method from. So to answer your question, Denise, yes, in theory, you can do a Quilt As You Go method on most any quilt. Probably not every quilt. It's not ideal for every quilt, but I'll show you how I do it with Cocktail Hour. Like in theory, I could have done Quilt As You Go on these quilts had I left these blocks separate and then put batting behind it and then done the quilting that way and stitched it all together and then just did stitch in the ditch for the backing. But baby quilts are small enough that when you run the whole thing through your machine to finish the quilting, it's not a big deal. I like the Quilt As You Go method because it's an easy way to finish a quilt that's gonna be big. Like if you don't have a big machine, sometimes Quilt As You Go is a nice way to save time and also like frustration trying to get your quilt through like a smaller throat on your machine. So all that to say, I'm gonna do Quilt As You Go method, and I will definitely go through my process step by step as I do it so you can see how it works if you're curious. Okay, the last thing I have to show you is a teeny weeny little bit of haul, and then we'll go over my plans for the next month. First things first, I had to get a new iron this month because my iron finally kicked the bucket. So the last iron I had, it's already thrown away, so I can't show you. It was a Black & Decker brand. My mom purchased it for me when I went away to college the first time back in like 2007, like summer 2007. And we are now in spring 2023 and it just died. So we almost made it to 6 years with that iron. And so that's impressive, right? So what I did whenever it was time to get a new iron was I got another Black & Decker. I don't know how long this one's gonna live because now irons have kind of advanced to where even the simplest irons have a lot of features on them that my previous iron didn't. Literally, it was just like a plug it in, it heats up. There was different fabric settings and there was a reservoir for water so I could steam, which I never did. I never steamed anything. And that was it. Like the new irons now, they have it to where you can like, they all have timers to shut them off. If you turn it on the plate for too long, they will auto cool. There's 800 different fabric settings. There's spray and steam functions. I mean, it'll take your blood pressure like a Fitbit, I guess, if you really wanted it to. So, I don't know. We'll see how long this one lasts, but I did get another Black & Decker because I was really impressed with the life of the last one. So I got the Eversteam model. It's pretty basic. It's got a big heel because the cord is retractable, right? So there's another fancy schmancy feature. this also has an auto clean function. I've used it like twice, so I have not had the need to auto clean. There's a bunch of different fabric settings, and it has a steamer that is utilized horizontally or vertically, and then it also has a spray nozzle. I don't know why you would need this, but it's there. So this was like the most basic function iron I could find now. So, but it's another Black & Decker, so we'll see how long this one lasts. And it also has an auto shut off. So if you leave it sitting on the heel for 30 minutes without movement, it'll auto shut off. If you leave it, what is it? I want to say it's like a certain amount of minutes or even seconds on the plate, it'll start auto cooling. So anyways, I got an iron. If you're looking for an iron that's not expensive and has a long life to it, Black & Decker. Okay, so the next thing I got is these. These are 26 packs of Gutermann thread in a variety of colors. The reason why I got them is for my Quilt As You Go cocktail hour quilt. So I have a good collection of colors, but not a lot. For the most part, I stitch with black, white, gray. That's it. But if I'm gonna be stitching as I go on this quilt, which is very vibrant, I need to make sure I have enough colors to match on top. So what I did was I got these little variety packs. You'll notice that the spools are different colors. This one is polyester. This one's cotton. They didn't have the different, you can see there's slightly different colors, you know, and they didn't have the different colors in all cotton or all polyester, so I got both. I've used Gutermann thread and Coats and Clark and like the basic, just like generic all-purpose threads forever. They work just fine. If you're a quilter on a budget, there's no need to spend more money on like a 80 weight Aurifil unless you really want to. But Gutermann and Coats and Clark work just fine for me. I'm not too bougie to use Joann's thread. In terms of the difference between cotton and polyester, I believe one is a little bit more linty than the other. Couldn't tell you which because I've stitched with both. They also make a cotton polyester blend, which I've stitched with, and it works just fine. My machine is perfectly happy using any of them. So if you have a preference, or more specifically, if your machine has a preference, because there are machines that prefer different types of thread, then by all means get what works for you. But if you, like me, are a stitcher on a budget, Joann's thread. So these are each 26 packs, and I think the only color that repeats in both is a white and a black. Everything else is just like you can see these greens are slightly different. The purples are slightly different. So I've got, you know, a little bit of everything in there for my cocktail hour quilt. I just have one more piece of haul, and that is this here, this fabric right here. You may recall me showing off this quilt, which is my Tula Pink City Sampler that I did all in grayscale, and it has been done for a while. It just needs to be quilted, and I didn't have a back for it, so I went and bought this black and gray backing fabric. It's like paint strokes or agate, or maybe even like those mushrooms that grow on the sides of trees, you know what I mean? It's a little bit suggestive of all of those things, but the reason why I wanted it is because it has the full scale of black to white. I didn't want a mostly black or a mostly white. I wanted something that had all the colors. So that's it. That's what I got it for. I got it stitched together The quilt top is 60 by 60, so I only needed 4 yards, cut it in half, stitch it together. So this is now ready to go to my long armor to be quilted, and it's about dang time because I think I finished this quilt top in like 2018, so it's ready. That was all my haul, just a teensy weensy little bit. So we'll go over plans real quick and then we'll say goodbye. So ideally I want to finish at least 2 more of the baby quilts, fully finish them. I will push for as many as I can though. I'm going to keep working on getting my scraps hexied and then get at least another block of that column done. I will have my color palette quilt back and fully finished to show off to you guys, which I'm really excited about. And then I'm going to also see if I can get one of the cocktail hour blocks quilted so I can give you a little bit more of a demonstration on that quilt as you go method. Beyond that, if I have more time beyond that, I still have my favorite sweater quilt from Ruby Star Society in the works. That's one of the whips that I want to get finished this year. And then I have at least 3 other quilts in the wings waiting to be started. So I've got my Sculliver by Legit Kits. I've got the Set Sail pattern with the Rise line by Melody Miller. And I have the Chic Escape fabric, the Jelly Roll from Tilda's World, that I'm gonna do with one of the Krista Moser patterns that I showed in my plans for the year. So if I have spare time, I'm gonna get one of those going probably. I think that's everything. So yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions at all about what you've seen or anything I've talked about, definitely drop me a comment. I've included my email address and of course my Instagram, so if you want to go to Instagram there and DM me, you can do that. I will have Amy and Laura's channels linked down below, and all of the fabric lines that are available still and the patterns that are available still. I'll link those down below as well. And that's it. That's everything. I will be back at the end of March with my March update and hopefully some really awesome fully finished projects to show you. And I'll see you guys in a month. All right, happy quilting. Bye.